you want to dive deeper into this, join my school community, The Smell of Money, where we think differently about how we receive money to multiply it, to make it grow. The link to join is in the comments. You can head over to school and search The Smell of Money.
One of my clients is referred to me as the wealthy witch because I'm using aromatherapy, which you can't see the bottle that I'm holding up. But the power of essential oils just really moves and shifts the way we think and feel about money. And it shows up in so many different ways in our lives. And we always think, how can I make more money? We're all on this train of let's make more money. But you all know it's not about how much money you make. It's what you do with it. And you ever stop and think, like, what prevents you from making money? Is it something internally, something externally? Is it the circumstances? Is it the politics? Whatever you might think it is true, because whatever you think is true. But in reality, it all has to do with our beliefs, our core values, our subconscious. If you're tired of feeling shame about past financial decisions, worried you'll never achieve financial stability, and ready for a clear plan to take control of your money and experience true financial freedom, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Lisa, wealth activator, independent insurance broker, and your guide to rewriting your money story. I learned the secret to creating financial freedom and stability after divorce, and I'm ready to share it with you. If you're ready for steady, stress-free income, clarity with your money, and the confidence to spend without guilt, grab your favorite essential oil, take a deep breath, and let's sniff our way through the smell of money. So today we're going to be looking at money in a different perspective. We have joining us today Russell Van Brocklen, who is a New York State Senate-funded dyslexia researcher and dyslexic professor. His program moved motivated teens from middle school writing to GRE level in one class period, a day over a school year, under $900 per student. He teaches interest first, specific to general world analysis first routines parents can actually run. It is the master prompt. Is that correct, Russell? I'm reading this from...
In general, yes. So, so everybody understands what's going on.
Yeah, let's summarize that.
Yeah, you work with moms to grow their money. The problem that we run into is that a lot of school districts and federal judges call this gross negligence. They don't contact Yale. They don't contact University for Dyslexia and Creative Studies. Right here, this is the top book of my field, Overcoming Dyslexia. And if you contact Yale in kindergarten, they say, here's how the teachers can test for dyslexia. It's cheap. And then if you do that, then they have all these federally funded programs, pick one you want. Then by the end of third grade, they're reading at grade level or close to it. If they read at grade level at the end of third grade, they're going to be fine. If they don't, then you're looking at a $1,000 private school for about 4 to 5 years using what they call an Orton-Gillingham structured language approach, which essentially means seeing, touching, hearing, everything else. Why? K through 3, we learn to read. 4th and above, we read to learn. So when I looked at that problem, because I'm severely dyslexic myself, I went to law school with a first grade reading and writing level. I went through college with a first grade reading and writing level. Within a month, I learned to read in law school. Within a couple of years, I learned to write. So what I did initially was I took a bunch of highly motivated dyslexics, juniors and seniors, highly motivated, highly intelligent, in a New York State public school funded by the New York State Senate, one class period a day for the school year. They increased from the middle school grade level to average of entering grad students. Cost the state less than $900. They all went on to college. They all graduated, GPAs 2.5 to 3.6. Now, well, that was just to show you what is possible. But when I tried to get typical kids to do this, nothing. They wouldn't move an inch. So what I had to do is I had to go back to the science. That's dyslexia. Do you see how the back part of your brain has all this massive neural activity and mine has next to nothing?
Yes.
But the front part of my brain is about 2.5 times overactive. Okay. So what I did is in that front part of the brain, I switched it to word analysis followed by articulation. So for your moms out there, they have a lot of elementary school kids who are essentially writing a bunch of randomly placed misspelled words. Do you know any dyslexic elementary school kids yourself?
I do, yeah. I do personally.
Okay. Make up a name of one of them who's writing randomly placed misspelled words.
Joe.
What is Joe's speciality? What is his real interest? What is he really good at?
Art. He loves to draw.
Okay, drawing. So what we do is you're going to write 10 things that Joe really, really likes and 10 things that he really hates. So what we're going to do is now we go to a laptop, not an iPad, not an iPhone, certainly not handwriting, typing on a real keyboard. You're going to type out Joe plus sign, what are we talking about? He's going to copy it. And we're going to switch out Joe. It's going to be hero plus sign, what are we talking about? He's going to copy it. Then you're going to swap out hero for Joe plus sign, what are we talking about? Then we're going to swap out what are we talking about for the first thing he really likes on his list, which is drawing. Joe plus sign drawing. See how we got there?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to try to fool you with the simplest questions in the world. And usually this is where people have an epiphany on what dyslexia is really like. Do you think I'll be able to fool you with the simplest questions in the world?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, try to answer these as best you can. We have Joe plus sign drawing. We need to swap out the plus sign for a word. Here's my question. Does Joe like or dislike drawing?
Likes.
Okay. Now put that word in for the sentence. And what's the sentence?
Joe likes drawing.
But that's not what I asked. I asked, do you see where the problem is?
Yeah. Didn't connect the dots.
Nope. That's not it. Do I have you completely confused? Okay. Now you're about to have an epiphany on what dyslexia is. I asked, does Joe like or dislike drawing? Like almost every other educated person, you added the S and just put it into the sentence. Joe doesn't know how to add the S. So again, let's go and look at the science. That's the back part of the brain. Joe basically has next to nothing going on back there. So what we're doing is we need to shift that to the front part of the brain. So how we do that is we ask Joe, because Joe would have said like, because that's what I asked him. And then Joe would have replaced the plus sign with like. How do we get him to add the S? That Orton-Gillingham approach, they would see it, touch it, hear it. It would literally take you weeks to learn how to teach him that. Weeks to learn that approach. Here's how we really speed that up. We asked Joe to read what he wrote out loud. Joe liked drawing. Joe, does that sound generally correct? No. Fix it. Joe likes drawing.
Okay.
You do that for 10 likes and 10 dislikes until he's got them all correct. Do you see how like and dislike is a very simple form of word analysis?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to go to because. Give me a simple reason why Joe would like drawing.
It relaxes him.
Joe likes drawing because it relaxes him. Can you now see how we have a whole mess of misspelled words?
Yeah.
Here's how we fix that.
So
we tell him to put a... Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. It's like a plural issue.
Well,
is that right?
Don't use words like that around Joe. He doesn't understand them. I'm giving you very simple language to use that he will understand.
Okay.
Don't use nouns, adjectives, adverbs. He doesn't understand that. I still can't diagram a sentence. All right.
Okay.
So Joe likes why does he like drawing again? Because
it relaxes him.
It relaxes him. Joe likes drawing because it relaxes him. You put a period down and then you tell Joe, read that out loud. Does that sound generally correct? If it doesn't, fix it. And he retypes it until it sounds generally correct. Then you look at the spelling. And every time there's a misspelled word, he has to retype it. Okay. We ask him to read it out loud. Does it sound generally correct? Fix it. First, just to get rid of the nasty major grammar mistakes. The teachers do the simple ones, the medium ones. We get rid of the nasty ones. Then for every spelling mistake, he has to keep retyping until he gets it correct. Normally about 3 to 13 times. Each time he makes a mistake, he tells himself, I'm not going to make that mistake. And he does. And it keeps going until he eventually gets it correct. Around 9 to 13 times, you can sometimes see sweat coming down his forehead. That's where the magic happens. You keep doing that until it's spelled correctly for all 20. Then it's reason 1 and reason 2, 20 times until it's all correct. Reason 1, reason 2, and reason 3. This may not seem like much, but now we're taking a kid from randomly placed misspelled words to something like Joe likes drawing because it calms him down. He likes drawing pictures and he likes showing his friends. You have now brought his writing from kindergarten, maybe first grade level, to end of second, beginning third grade level. And here's a great thing. If he can write it, he can read it. But that's step 3 of the model. The first thing you have to do is focus on, during the intervention period, just the intervention period until you're at grade level, you have to focus on his speciality, his area of extreme interest and ability. Then, this is really important, you cannot ask a dyslexic student a general to a specific question in the intervention period. So, for example, do you remember in school that you used to always learn from the general to the specific?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That brings back memories.
Yes, but for dyslexics, it's like grabbing fog. Nothing there. If you ask a dyslexic, what effect did Martin Luther King's famous "I Have a Dream" speech have in the 1960 civil rights movement? It's like grabbing air. Nothing. If we ask them a specific to a general question, what personally compelled Martin Luther King to want to give his famous speech? We find the answer. That answer gives us a question, which gives us an answer, which gives us a question. It forces the brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. Why is this so important? Because if you ask a dyslexic in your speciality, do you have ideas flying around your head at light speed but with little to no organization? They're going to say yes. So we force the brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. So we focus on the speciality, then we do specific to the general, word analysis followed by articulation. How successful is this? People wanted to know. So last December, I met Kimberly. It was December 27th. She just spent $700 having the state of Ohio test her kids. Her son, Reed, was 10, a grade and a half behind. If he were in public school for the rest of the school year, he was supposed to increase by 2 to 2.5 points. That didn't happen. She spent half the time with him the school would have, and he increased by 20 points. Literally 7 as fast as he would typically expect it to learn. His reading went from the 11th percentile to the 65th. His writing from the 4th percentile to the 64th. Reed's friends wanted him in public school for social reasons. He is in public school now, doing just fine, getting A's and B's, because his mother did what every parent dreams about. And she did it at home in an hour and a half a week. And I worked with her for half an hour a week to make that possible.
Wow, that's amazing. And we don't ever stop and think about how a learning disability can prevent us from communicating with others, from, even earning money. It kind of makes us feel, I imagine it makes us feel like insignificant or like I'm not good enough to do that. So therefore, because I have this, I'll never have money. So you growing up with this, did you ever feel like that you were never going to like make it or be wealthy because you had this issue that you had to deal with? Like, what was the money story that
I was too stubborn to let it go. And again, I didn't learn to read or write until literally I went to law school. And then what happened is what I found is every other dyslexic who goes to grad school, day one, we own the place or soon thereafter. So a professor called on me my second day of contracts. He would normally crush everyone within 3 or 4 questions at most. And then he would keep doing that until you adapt. It's called the Socratic method. He called on me. I argued back. I was his equal for 15 minutes until he said, Russell, you couldn't be any more correct. I have to move on to the next case. Solved law school within my second day of contracts. Then when I had to connect my research to Dr. James Collins, he had a $1.5 million grant from the U.S. Education Department for struggling writers. I got his approval, A+, excellent. Took me less than 2 weeks. People said it was going to take me 2-3 years minimum. I did in less than 2 weeks. So there's a huge advantage to dyslexia. It's just in graduate level thinking and analysis. Until then, we don't do particularly well in school.
Okay. When we think about the challenges of growing up with that and like communicating that, how was it found? There's a testing in school because like the kid might act up or, the parents might notice something but what are some of the physical signs that you could recognize in your children to understand that they might have this?
Well, they're simply not learning to read or write. Boys are a lot easier to find out because we act out. Girls are much more civilized and it's much harder. They don't find out until later. So when your kids are coming home and they're doing their ABCs in kindergarten and it's not working, the research is clear as heck. Get this book, contact Yale, have your school find out the kid's dyslexic. We're talking about the price of going out to dinner. That's what we're talking about. And they can tell you, do that in kindergarten and then follow their advice. People tend to contact me after 4th grade. Kids are in 4th grade and they don't want to spend $75,000 a year in a private school for 4 to 5 years. That's literally what it takes because the approach hasn't changed much since the 1950s.
Yeah, and that could definitely break the bank.
Oh, no, literally parents will do that or typically, this is just back from when Facebook gave us way too much information. K through 12 was moms, 90%. And they would go and spend 2 years becoming certified Norton Gillingham, then working with their kid for 5, 6, 7 years and spending $11,000 to do it. I thought that's absurd. So my entire process to take students from first grade writing all the way through entering graduate level is less than 35,000 words. The whole thing.
Yeah. And so you've been doing this for quite some time. You had said 25 years, and you think about the education cash leaks that we all go through. When somebody, I have a couple clients that have disabled, children that have learning disabilities, and the amount of money, the tutoring, and all the things that they have spent time and money just to try to be able to resolve this problem, to help their child feel successful so that they can do a career that they absolutely love. So when you think about it, like, you concentrate in New York, but you also do it in other states. How does somebody go about getting this kind of help? Like, other than reading the book, that's the first step. But once they read the book, is there resources?
This will just tell you the basic science. Actually, the application of what she does with her science, as far as I'm concerned, incorrect. If you want to know, the easiest thing to do is just go to dyslexiaclasses.com with an S, dyslexiaclasses.com with an S. There is a button there that says download free guide. It's 3 reasons your child's having trouble in school due to dyslexia. Just fill out the 3 questions, and then you actually need to set up an appointment to speak with me directly. You do that. It's a half an hour. I talk with your kid. I find out what their speciality is. Parents have the hardest time finding this out. One of my kids, I'm not joking, he loves a video that's at the college level. He's in 8th grade. That's how to turn paint thinner into cherry soda. That's I have to adapt the system to get him what he needs that way. All right. But generally, we find a book, an audio book that they're interested in. And then I ask them a couple of questions like, yes, this is how I want to learn. For first time anybody understood them. And then I show parents how they can work with their kids 10 to 15 minutes a night. And over time, you can just get this done, or you can get them way ahead. Right now, Reed, he's working on body paragraphs. They're at the senior year of college. He's in 6th grade. I'm sorry, senior year of high school. He's in 6th grade. That's what he's working on now. We really slowed down because he's in public school doing fine. So Kimberly thinks he'll be done with that sometime in 7th grade.
Wow. What an incredible resource. And to be able to have that support is just amazing. When you think about your journey and how you got to do what you got to do, what was the most memorable point that really just helped you say, okay, this needs to get out. I need to do more of this. And how did it help you with your relationship with money? How did it help you grow?
Well, when I presented this in New York City, I thought I was done. I thought I did something amazing. And the teacher said, what about typical kids? I was like, ooh, I got to go back to the drawing board. And the professor said they wanted something called The Craft of Research. It's like, what the heck is that? It's a book designed to teach PhD students how to write dissertations. So now I actually work with hyper-competitive college dyslexic students who have, 3.8 GPAs, but they're not ready for real work. They don't know how to work effectively with the artificial intelligence and to work with coming up with creative ideas all the time, the solutions. So I work with them on that. And I would have to say the biggest breakthrough I had that allowed me to make this jump is, did you ever hear of a warrant for a body paragraph?
No.
This is what PhDs use. It helps you connect your topic sentence with your data, which for me is quotes. It's kind of like an intellectual way of connecting the story to that. Okay. And so I show students how to find 2 quotes, and then that creates a topic sentence, and then I use a warrant to connect that, and then I use the final connections on what is required to do well in the New York State Regents exam for high school for writing and the craft of research. And then I show that to 11-year-olds. And that just really accelerates things tremendously. I would have to say that was one of my biggest breakthroughs. Financially, I'm moving everything online now. Okay. One of the parents that I work with on a podcast has a master's degree in elementary school, and she couldn't get anything done with her son, August. And then she started doing this, and she's seeing the most rapid results she's ever seen. So we're moving everything online. So that will allow me to work with everybody at every budget and still have weekly communication with everybody on like a webinar format to answer everybody's question. Well,
That's awesome.
The problem with what I do is people don't want to give much direct support. And I think they need to be talking with me or one of my certified instructors on a weekly basis to answer their questions, because this is immensely. And here's what I found. Parents ask the same questions over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's common, right? In any industry.
Oh, well, you would just understand, my effective competition is you taking 2 years out of your life to become certified.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And spending $11,000 to split, and then working with your kid for years and years. Because in my process, the older the child is, the quicker they pick this up. Wharton Gillingham is the exact opposite. If you're in 6th grade, you got to teach them K through 5 plus everything they're supposed to be learning now.
Mm-hmm.
It puts so much pressure on these kids. And by focusing on the part of the brain that actually has this is what we are designed to do. It makes it so much easier than trying to force it back here when we got next to nothing. It's kind of like asking the athletic event that you're really horrible at. It's like trying to ask you to become an expert in that. It's not happening, no matter how hard you try. But you focus on what you're really good at, and then you find that we can learn drastically quicker. Just to give you a quick example, I never saw this before. I will never see this again. This was a one-off. Casey was interested in Theodore Roosevelt. She was 10, end of 5th grade. All 900 pages of this. She wanted to do reading first, so I said, okay, here's how you do that. Go do 10, 20 minutes a night, couple nights a week. Nope, not Casey. 2 to 3 hours a night, 6, 7 days a week for 6 months. She could read every word in that book, knew the definition of every word in that book. 8 grade level increases in 6 months. I worked with her for 15 minutes a week.
Wow.
When people say this can't be done, I always point to that. Why do I mention that? Because then I gave her this book, my most popular one. Kids go to Disney. They want to know what the Disney magic is. I tell them it's 2 universal things. Casey hated that book. I got permission from her mom, and I just wanted to know, most motivated kid ever, what happens when I give her a book she hates. She could do it. It transferred over. Her mom wanted to see that. I said, Casey, how much has this affected your motivation? She said it's down 50%. Now, you go to a typical kid, something they hate, you're down 75, 80%. Then the school teaches from the general to the specific. It's like us grabbing fog. They don't know what to do. Then we're certainly not doing word analysis followed by articulation. The schools aren't trying to be hard on neurodiverse or dyslexics or ADD or ADHD. It's just that 80+% of their population this works well with. So I want you to think back to when you were in school. If you were properly organized and you worked hard, maybe not in every class, but overall you did very well. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. But with dyslexics, our brains are completely different. It doesn't work. Now, does this work once we get them to grade level? I point again back to Reed. Yes, he's in 6th grade doing just fine, A's and B's. The other kids, when we did that initial program, yes, they were highly motivated, highly intelligent, but I'll give you a hint. The typical student at your state's flagship university, that's pretty much every one of them. It has to be to get in there. And they all graduated with GPAs of 2.5 to 3.6. Could we have done better? Now we do. But remember, the state invested less than $900 per kid.
Wow. It's all about that controlling dollar.
Well, no, what we've done is we removed the need for a huge expenditure of dollars. What you need now, that approach that I worked on with Reed, I have shown AP English students at 14 how to teach that. Why? They want to go to Harvard or some Ivy League or some top 50. Them saying the school failed and I got this kid to grade level. Now, it takes a lot longer because, they're 14, but when they say that they succeeded, that's one heck of a personal statement.
Yeah. Yeah. And that success is so important to keep us motivated, to keep us going. So, well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I know our listeners either have someone in their family or know somebody that will really benefit from this. Tell us what is the best way for them to connect with you? I know you mentioned it earlier in the show.
It's just go to Dyslexia Classes. That's with an S, dyslexiaclasses.com. There's a button there that says download free guide, fill it out, get the free book, The 3 Reasons Your Child's Having Trouble in School Due to Dyslexia, but actually go and click a time to see me for 30 minutes. Okay. That's the key thing. I can then tell you what your kid's speciality is, find their book and find their audiobook. And there's no charge for that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Russell, for all sharing your expertise and your journey with our audience. And for those of you listening, please check the show notes. Share this episode with someone you know needs this support. And thinking about if you're recognizing something in your life that needs special attention, you're not alone. Don't hesitate to go get help. And this ultimately affects how you receive money, how you deal with the finances, with your relationships. It affects overall everything that we do. So just remember, you're not alone and you are your best asset. And remember, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it's what you do with it. Hey, mompreneurs, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, please follow the show and share it with a friend who's rebuilding her finances after divorce. No spreadsheets, no restrictive budgets, only confidence to build financial freedom. Also, please drop a quick 5-star review so more moms starting over can find this. It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you. Inhale confidence, exhale scarcity. I'll meet you back on Tuesday for another episode. It doesn't matter how much money you have, it's what you do with it.